Dzi Stones. I'm not an expert on this. It's not really related to Dharma. It's not really from Buddhism. It's something indigenous of Tibet, but it becomes related. What are Dzi Stones? There's a type of spirit, or type of, no, I don't want to say spirit, because it's always, English is very inappropriate for a lot of Buddhistic terms that doesn't accommodate. There's a type of being under the earth. You see, under the earth there are meridians. And this is an understood fact by all cultures. But Tibetans knew this a long time ago. And Buddha already knew. Of course, there are a lot of meridians under the earth. And they run sometimes parallel to each other, or sometimes, in weird directions, whatever. And they conjoin in different parts of the planet. And these conjoined areas of the meridians have a little more power, have a little more energy. Because, let's put it this way. If you get two magnets together, and you put it opposite, you can feel the opposite polarization. If you put your finger there, you can actually feel something there, like a wiggly, warm kind of, feeling. Similarly, these meridian points in certain parts of the earth, they run all over the place. And they also conjoin. When they conjoin at certain areas, if there's more meridian points there joining, it's a more powerful place. Powerful place for what? For if we're in a very bad mood, it brings us in a better mood. If we're feeling not well, it helps our body to recover if we hang around that area or drink the water from that area, because it's very ionized, very energized. If we want to do if we want to do some kind of spells, we want to, conjure up some type of, gods and, something mystical or mythical, it's more powerful there. And the reason is because your energies are heightened, and a lot of these beings converge at these areas at certain times. So when you do it at certain times, that's astrologically correct. It's easier to do spells, prayers, incantations, or achieve something, whatever you want to achieve. It's so-called easier. Example, in the West, you have many, many cases of it, like Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a place where people have done a lot of rituals in the past, but people don't know exactly what. They don't understand what. But they definitely know that it's a very powerful energy point. And there are places in Europe, I can't recall immediately offhand, but I've used to look at these things where, stones can float off the ground. And there's nothing magical about it, because there's some kind of polarization there, some kind of magnetic energy there. It's very natural. And so these places converge. So the biggest meridian point, or the most powerful, or the one that is the top on this planet, according to Lord Buddha, is Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash is the most powerful meridian point. It is the center of our planet. All right, not the center of the world, the universe, the center of our planet. So when we do things near or on Mount Kailash or something from there, it's considered very powerful, because it has very powerful healing energies. Very powerful healing energies. Mount Kailash. This is in the Himalayas, all right? This borders with Tibet, Nepal, and India. So some of the tantric deities, we can't say live there, but manifest there. And it's said it's easier to make a connection with them there, because that's one of the places that they manifest. Example, Kala Chakra is known to manifest in that area. Vajragini and Heruka, of course. Heruka and Vajragini, it is their manifestation point on this planet, on Mount Kailash. So if we go to these places and circumambulate and do the right prayers, hang up prayer flags, we do some black tea, we offer juniper incense, it's considered very, very, very powerful for helping our practice. All right, it's like if we want to make a good friend, in a powerful position, like a king somewhere, like if we want to make friends with the king of China, if we go there and we hang around the palace and we hang around enough, maybe if we're lucky, we'll get noticed. It's something like that. Whereas if we hang out here and just send letters all the time, or send telegrams, it's less of a chance. So that's a very rough example. So we have these kind of meridian points. And these meridian points are very powerful for either spiritual practice or in general for healing of the body, for generation of the body, for making the mind more calm, all right? And example, you have mineral baths all over the world. Like in Japan, they have certain places where they have volcanic mineral baths because these baths are very natural and they have certain ingredients in the water that bubbles out from the earth. It really heals our body. You see, it's nothing magical. It's something that is ionized, energized, something that matches what we need, the minerals. So it heals us, it helps us. So like that, these meridian points through the earth have positive things, and also they have negative things. So through these meridian points, you also have a type of deity. Tibetans don't worship this deity because Tibetans don't worship deities that are unenlightened. They don't worship gods, and they don't worship spirits. They don't worship any type of these things that actually bring you down from the state of enlightenment, or discourage you, or interrupt your path to enlightenment. So these type of deities, this called Sa, okay, Sa, and the common spelling I saw is Z-A, right, Sa. And anyways, this deity is can be harnessed for magic. It can be harnessed to do your bidding, but he's quite ferocious. So most people don't even bother with him. But in pre-Buddhistic Tibet, which is during shamanistic times, the religion at the time was Pönpo. You don't look at the Pöns at this time. It's spelled B-O-N, but it's pronounced Pön. You don't look at the Pöns this time, because in order for the Pönpos or the Pöns to survive in Tibet, the shamanistic religion, they had to incorporate a lot of Buddhist theory, iconography, Buddha's deity. A lot of the deities look like Buddhist deities, because in order for them to survive, they had to incorporate, or else it was just dying. So a lot of even if you see the founder or whatever, he sits just like Buddha Shakyamuni, except reversed. Everything you see reversed. So anyways, pre-Buddhistic times in Tibet, the shamanic time, when the Pöns were very powerful, and they have very powerful magic. Just like every country, they have very, very powerful magic and spells. And they didn't necessarily do it to hurt people, but it was a religion for them. Dzi Stones are indigenous of Tibet. You don't find these stones anywhere else in the world. Why? I don't know. Maybe you have it other parts of the Himalayas that we haven't explored, but as far as I know, nowhere else except in Tibet. These are indigenous of Tibet, and they're in the mountains, and you actually have to dig for them. And they come up with many, many types of designs. I'm not an expert on this, all right? Because this is jewelry department. I don't really know about Tibetan jewelry. But they come out naturally formed, and they have certain colors, and they have certain types of designs on that I'm not an expert on, and I really don't care, actually. And that makes them more perfect. The alignment of the eye, the coloring, the lines. And the more perfect they are, the more powerful they are to arrest. Dip means spiritual pollution, eating poisonous things, magic, fits. They're very, very powerful for protecting you from fits, epileptic fits specifically, and fits that arise from the Sa god that runs underground. Because there are a lot of people, they go on a picnic somewhere, they run here, run there, they step in the wrong place, that's it, they come home paralyzed. They come home with some spirit following them. They come home weird. You've seen that. You people, especially during your Chinese 8th month. Don't go any place. You want to step on the wrong paper all that time. All that stuff. Everybody's scared to death. It's something like that in Tibet. When you step on the wrong meridian point, you can come back. You can get fits. You can get epileptic fits. So this is supposed to protect you. Because they have a magical property on their own of protecting you from the Sa deity and fits and epilepsy. So they can be offered to high lamas. They can be offered to the lamas to be put on their damarus. Why? When you offer to your lama to be put on the damarus or ritual objects, what you're asking for is, may I gain the merits to be protected from these type of interferences and problems? So you offer these to the lamas, and they're put on their damarus. So these days, who can afford it? One can be, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 ringgits. The real ones. They're very, very expensive. They're priceless. Priceless. So they can be, and then they're beautiful because also they can be used as jewelry pieces. So a lot of people use these. They put little gold on them left and right, beautiful, holders and decorations, and they can be worn as beautiful objects of jewelry because they're unique. They're very cultural. They have a lot of meaning, and they can be worn like this. Very nice. They can be worn like that, simply in any way. But when this Sa god comes and disturbs you, or you're going to have a fit, it is said that these stones will burst immediately. It's happened many times. On its own, just burst. Why? It absorbs this God. It absorbs this negativity. And it bursts. Okay? So they're actually based on protection. And they can be used as decoration. They can be used as jewelry. They can be used as offering. If you have a gau, they can be used on gaus. They can be used on almost anything. No problem at all. But they're very, very expensive. Of course, these are not the real ones. They're imitations. But since we can't afford the real ones, If we buy an imitation and think it's real, then we can also offer it up. We can use it on mandalas. We can use it on our deities. You know, if we have a big statue, we can put it on their crowns. We can put it on their clothes. Very, very nice to make offerings, thinking that it's a real thing. When I was very young, I couldn't offer, nothing on my Buddha statues, nothing at all. So I used to buy cheap imitation plastic, diamonds and plastic rubies and sapphires and all these type of jewels from nearby a city, from the monastery. Just very cheapskate ones. Bring it back and sew it onto the deity, put it around and visualize that they're real. Visualize that they're real and offer it up to them. And to gain merits, to gain a lot of merits. So these can be used for that.